The Usual Suspects won 2 major Oscars on Monday for Best Original Screenplay and Best Supporting Actor. For many critics and this moviegoer, it was a favorite film of 1995. For director Bryan, who won the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance a couple of years ago for another film, the Oscar night success of The Usual Suspects marks a fast start to a promising career, and I am pleased to have him here to talk about it. Great to have you here. I mean, you know how much I like the film, so we can just move past that. I mean, it's been embarrassingly sort of...
why? Not to us.
Yeah. Tell me why you liked it and what you hope to accomplish in this film.
Oh, well, first off, I'll entertain people.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's, for me, the key, I think. The second is to in a weird way, for me as a filmmaker, to re-examine the power of film and how you can really manipulate people.
Yeah.
Not manipulate people so much, not only emotionally, but how textually you can manipulate people, how you can show them something one way and then keep them in this place, and then all of a sudden just turn it on them and have the audience sort of move with you and be able to pull them around, and that's a real thrill for me.
Who deserves credit, and perhaps you, and so if you should take the laurels, for assembling Kevin, Gabriel, Chaz, all those, Stephen Baldwin, all those guys?
Well, doling out credit, first off to Chris McQuarrie for writing a fantastic screenplay.
Second time you two had collaborated on a screenplay.
Second time. But we've done other projects together where we which hadn't been produced. So we've known each other since high school for many years.
And he's even younger than you are, or is he older than you?
He's a bit younger, I think.
You were what, 28, 29?
30.
30?
Yeah.
And so he's maybe 28.
Yeah. Oh, God, I'm not sure.
And when you made this, though, you were about 25 and he was about 23, or something like that? When was this made?
The Usual Suspects, I was 27 when I did Usual Suspects.
He was 25.
And he's about 25, yeah. And but I've been making films since I was like 13 years old, so I feel like I've been doing this forever. Yeah. So I would say I would say that Francine Maisler, a casting director, wonderful job. An agent named George Freeman at ICM.
But you needed somebody to launch it all, didn't you? I mean, was that Gabriel Byrne? Who was that to sort of that you could build around?
Well, no, we developed the role with the screenplay with Kevin Spacey in mind from the very beginning, and then presented to him. He had seen Public Access, my first film, and after seeing that, he came to me at a screening and said, I want to work with you. Yeah. So we developed which I looked at as an assignment, because I worship this man as an actor.
Worship him?
Oh, Kevin, he's magnificent.
I know, I do too. I like him too.
Oh, absolutely, I adore him. So this was like a thrill. An actor of that caliber would like to work with us, and well, let's develop something for him. We presented him with a screenplay. He didn't know which role he was to respond to. He responded to the role of Verbal. Yeah. He said he'd do it, and then from there we assembled some financing. At the time it was European financing, and we started to make offers and get other actors interested, and we got Gabriel Byrne after that. Chaz wasn't available until the last minute, I remember. Yeah. But Pete Postlethwaite got him interested in the role of Kobayashi, which was originally written for a Japanese gentleman, but we thought that would be more interesting. And a lot of hype around the material developed, and eventually built the rest of the cast. And Chaz came at the last minute.
What made it sort of the success it was? You made it for $5 million. It's made at least 30 and maybe much more, and maybe make even more now that you got the success at the Academy Awards. Why do you think it's, for critics and for others, hooked them?
I think it's different. It's a story that they've never seen before. It's a cast that they've never... I don't think people have seen a cast like these particular actors in this particular light before. I think the ending is unique and fun, and I think the rides, came out really well, and it plays with there's a lot going on, but the aesthetic is accessible. People seem to dive into it.
I want to take 2 quick clips. Clip 1 is when they are sitting. The film opens, as most people know, in a lineup.
Yeah.
And you did that because you wanted to what? Establish that.
Well, that was the inception of the idea. Chris had the idea of 5 guys meet in a lineup, 5 felons, and they come together and they form a bond, and then they go off on sort of an odyssey of crime. Well, then the notion became, who would bring them together, for what reason, and then came the myth of Kaiser Soze. But it began with the lineup.
Here is the group in the holding cell. Take a look at this, and look at the directing as we talk about this film. Here it is. Why do I like this so much? I don't know. I mean, it's just, I love the camera movements, I love the way the actors interact. I mean, I love the way you shot in the car overlooking the boat. I mean, it's just all great. And $5 million. I mean, people look at this film and say, am I right about that?
All in, it's a little more than that, about 6.5. Came out to about 6.5.
Actually, 25.
But with the challenge is we shot in 35 days. To me, that money is amorphous, but days are really are the challenge.
Many directors have come here and said casting is 75–80% of directing. What you say is a little different. Storytelling is half the game.
Yeah, it really is. I would say about 30% of my directing goes into working with the screenwriter, developing the material. About 30% of it is in the casting process, and 30% is what I call the second and third rewrite of a movie. The second rewrite is on the set when you're rediscovering what movie you're making, and the third rewrite is when you're in the editing room and you're really, you're making the final movie. And a lot of things come out of that. A lot of funny things come. The lineup scene, they're all in the lineup and they're laughing and stuff. Right. That we couldn't get through a complete take. They just couldn't stop laughing. So what you see is actually like a blooper. It's something constructed in the editing room. And
that must be the creative joy for a director. I mean, it is said about people like Hitchcock that everything was so blocked out that he only cared about getting to the editing room. Yeah. I'm a little more organic than that. I like to be on the set. I like to see what arises on the set. I plan 50%. I know exactly what I want going in, and then 50% I leave gray, and that's where some of the most interesting stuff comes. All right, here's the next scene. This is where they attempt to kidnap Kaiser's assistant, Mr. Kobayashi, in an elevator, but Kobayashi shows that he has the upper hand. Take a look at this second scene from Usual Suspects. What are you doing next? I'm doing a movie called Apt Pupil, based on a novella by Stephen King that he wrote about 12 years ago, and a writer named Brandon Boyce is adapting it from me. I'll shoot that in June, and it's the story of a young all-American boy who discovers a Nazi war criminal living in his neighborhood, and instead of turning him into the authorities, he blackmails him into telling him stories, what it was really like in the past. And through the telling of these stories, and the blackmailing that takes place between the young boy and the old man, the two eventually corrupt and destroy each other. It's a very dark and very strange, rather un-Stephen King-like picture. And why did you choose this? I read the story many years ago, and the notion of it intrigued me. And I think in an odd way, it may seem odd at the time, and it hopefully will deliver, but in an odd way, I think it's an interesting story about adolescent curiosity and adolescent pressure. I think it's something that a lot of people, in spite of the fantastic nature of the subject, I think it's something a lot of people will relate to. And it's overall kind of creepy and interesting. Do you know what happens after this film? Are you lined up for... Well, there's a project I have in development at Disney, a science fiction film, which is very much actually like Usual Suspects. It's a mystery set in the future, but it's not just human characters. There's a robot, and there's a computer, and and it's really an interesting indictment about technology and things like that. Why did you become a director? God, I used to do photography when I was 13, and then I started shooting film. I borrowed a Super 8. I didn't have one until later in my life. I had a regular 8mm where you flip the negative, the old ones. And I'd been making films, and it was the notion that I didn't see the point of things happening unless you could record them. Yeah. That's where it started, I think. And then from then, I just started seeing everything. It had no reality unless I have it on film or tape. Yeah, like why light off fireworks unless you can shoot them, and then you may not even look at them again. But it occurred to me that, I became so photographic, and then later in life I thought, well, it might be an interesting way to do it, make a living. I was fired or lost about 40 different jobs from when I was 16 and on. And you dropped out of NYU, did you? No, I was going to School of Visual Arts in New York for 2 years. That's right, and then you left that and went to semester off to work, and then I went to USC, and I finished up my undergraduate at University of Southern California in the cinema school, but I was in their critical studies program because I couldn't get in. You couldn't get in the film school. Couldn't get in the production school. But you think that was better for you because you had an opportunity to study the classics. Yeah, well, what it was I knew how to make films already. I'd been doing that since I was 13, so this was a chance for me to see so many great films and to talk about them and to really learn what can be done, what had been done, and what could be done. And I really thought it was what I always say is the smartest thing that ever happened to me was falling into critical studies. When people say Quentin Tarantino, when they look at the group of directors of which in your broad age group who've come on the scene and had important film successes that are admired. They look at Tarantino, they say stylist. They look at Singer, they say craftsman. Do you like that? Do you think it's accurate? No, I don't know about craftsman. I read that somewhere, actually. I don't know. I think
I think stylism and craftsmanship go hand in hand in some way, and I think Quentin's style and craftsmanship and mine are a bit different, but hopefully equally as interesting and equally as new.
I would agree. The craft is the same, it's just a different style.
Yeah, I think we both are very reflexive. We both celebrate movie making. He's more of a satirist, I'm more of a
and our students,
dramatist.
Both of you are students of movie making as well.
Yeah, well, students of movies in general, I think.
Great to have you here.
Yeah. Oh, it's great to be here. And thanks for your fanship.
Yeah, fanship is what I have. You're going to send me a copy of Public Access to the first film.
It's on the way.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Tomorrow night we'll look at the Final Four. Mike Krzyzewski, a profile. Billy Packer will be here, and we'll talk about basketball. See you then.